All right, let's get started. Hey everyone, thanks for attending the Harbor Community Meeting. The agenda for today is one of our maintainers, Dun Qian, will talk about the upcoming work that we're doing for Prometheus integration to collect metrics for Prometheus, and so we can have more better monitoring of the harbor system, of the registry itself, as well as the underlying environment, the Kubernetes cluster itself. Before that, I just want to say that we did GA the 2.1 last week. So let me share my screen. So if you go to the Harbor repo under releases, you can see we did GA 2.1. So this has all the features that we talked about, like the proxy cache, the non-blocking garbage collection, P2P integration, stick image scanner, and Harbor being used to host machine learning data models. Also, there was a recent announcement from Docker Hub on rate limiting. So you will be rate limited based on the number of polls for both authenticated requests as well as anonymous. And so I just want to say, we users have been coming to us with, problems of being rate limited or IP banned. And so we worked on the proxy cache sort of in anticipation of this, not this announcement, but, this development. And, so now that you have proxy hash in 2.1, it can be really helpful to mitigate against, these new limits imposed by Docker Hub. Essentially, by pulling it to a proxy, you're minimizing reaching out to Docker Hub to get the image. If the image is cached in your environment already, then it'll just serve that directly instead of, going out to get the image from Docker Hub. We are making an improvement to the proxy cache in the 2.2 or the 2.1.1 patch release rather, because the rate limiting, if you go through this and read through it carefully, it's based on the number of get manifest requests instead of based on the image layers. And so in the current proxy cache in implementation, even if the image hasn't been updated, we're still reaching out to the upstream registry, in this case, Docker Hub, to do a comparison to see if digest has been updated to determine if we have to repull the image. So we're making a small change to make that, because it's using a get request right now. We're gonna make it into a head request, and so hopefully that will that won't trigger the rate limiter in that sense. So give this a read. Think about if this impacts your environment somehow, and see if the proxy cache feature is useful here. And if if you have any questions or other scenarios you want to cover, please feel free to reach out to us. So that's all I want to share about the release. I'll hand it over to Dun Qian right now for the Prometheus integration. Hey, Dun Qian, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Okay, let me share my screen. Oh, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, let's get started. And yeah, I wanna in the next release, we propose to provide the metric features for the Hubble, and the background for the Hubble metrics is because currently the cloud native in the native in the community, almost all the applications provide the metrics, and the metrics is really important for the in production. It is very important in production operation. So it also a lot of issue open in the Hubble repository. So we just want we plan to provide the Prometheus metrics in the Hubble in the next release. And okay, so the first thing is that what content we will expose, and currently I just need some here, and we can comment on the proposals PR and to enrich this list. And currently, I wanna expose the runtime informations the Prometheus Go library exposes. And the second thing to expose is some metric, some performance metrics about the API, like the API latency and the request in flight, and the RPS or something like that. The total number of requests, like this. And the next thing is some components also provide the distribution informations, like a Docker distribution, and we will enable it and expose it. And there are some other metrics like related to the business logics, and like the total pull number and push number in projects or something like that. This kind of data is already existing in our database, and we want to expose them in Hubble. And okay, let's talk about how to expose them. And the runtime information is it's pretty easy. The Go SDK is can expose them directly, and the API request the performance metrics are related to the APIs. We can write a middleware and to record the start time and end time, and expose them with the Go SDK of Prometheus. And the other thing to mention, we need to open another port for the Hubble to expose the metrics in order to avoid the confuse of the normal API and the metric API. This is the draft of the architecture of the Hubble metrics, and we in every component we will add the metrics in them and expose by Prometheus SDK, and the registry will expose by itself. And we also provide an exporter. The exporter is another container or another service in which collect all the metrics from the Hubble database and expose them. And besides that, we also introduced one new component is collector. The collector will collect all the metrics from the Hubble component and expose them with at a all-in-one API to expose them to Prometheus. And the collector will use the open telemetry collector, because is already here, and we can just use the OTL collector to collect them, and it also supports another another format like open census, open telemetry, or something like that. So we can compatible with other systems other than Prometheus if we want. Okay. We think we will provide the metrics in gradual way, because we don't want to provide all the metrics in the next release. Maybe in the next release we can provide some basic metrics of the core and the registry, and gradually add the metric and another metrics, and in the metrics and the other component will not support in the Hubble 2.2, and because we just support protocol in next release, and after 2.2 we can add more metrics in the as component. Okay. Okay. Some compatibility issues of this solution. I think most of the time where people will use Hubble in HA environment in Kubernetes, and so in Kubernetes we can also use current solution, because if the Hubble is installed in the same cluster with your Prometheus, we can using Prometheus operator and the service monitor to collect the data. If your Prometheus is not in the same cluster with your Hubble, you can use a sidecar solution. You can start each Hubble component part with a sidecar, and in the sidecar is open telemetry collect the metrics, and send it to collect, and the collect expose the metrics to the outside Prometheus service. And also we can support some third-party monitoring system like InfluxStack and Wavefront, because the Wavefront and InfluxDB all support the telegraph to collect metric data, and which is compatible with Prometheus. So we can use a telegraph to collect metrics. And also you can use the InfluxDB or Wavefront as a remote backend for Prometheus, and it also can collect all the Prometheus metrics and the data, but the data stored in the InfluxDB or Wavefront. I think this all my sharing.
Hey, thanks, Chen. So when you said only core is going to be in 2.2, like what about op service and the other components? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, because we think currently we just provide like a framework and which can support expose the metrics and which metrics will export we can discuss the offline and because currently we just wanna expose the core as the first step but it is very easy to enable the metrics in the other component.
Got it.
Mhm. Any other question?
Yeah, I think, when it runs as a HA cluster, when you run Harbor as an HA
Uh-huh.
cluster via our operator deployment, it would be really nice to capture some information like, you know, dead processes, the health status of the specific components are supposed to be HA, like PGSQL, Redis, persistent storage. Yeah,
Yeah, I think in the first, there are two solutions. The operator solution, because the service monitor can find a can call the Kubernetes API to get the information of the Hubble service. Because in the service monitor you can define selector to select the labels and the Hubble service the label will match the Hubble service, and so when some service is down and up, or maybe the service will a lot of replicas, and the service monitor can also find them and monitor them.
hmm
And the sidecar solution because the service monitor also only works in the same cluster if we don't have installed Harbor and the Prometheus service in the same cluster. We're using the sidecar solution, and Hubble service, each Hubble components parts will start with sidecar. In the sidecar, actually, in the sidecar is a collector which can collect all the metrics and send them to the center collector. So uh, it also can expose all the component data, and oh,
got it. So it
we
deploys with a sidecar in each pod, right? So
yeah,
DB, core, registry, web portal, Nginx, all these things will have uh,
yeah,
metric collection.
yeah,
Nice. I think it's something that, we've been meaning to get to for a long time now. I think we always knew that Prometheus was um, the right solution for this um,
mhm.
because of the support for basic Kubernetes building blocks. All of that is already existing, and it was raised to us many times. It's just we never got a chance to get to this, but this will be done in 2.2.
I think this is not I think there's no some coding effort here. I think we just can provide some document here for the user to collect the metrics, because in standalone we use a collector to collect the metrics, but in the HA environment in Kubernetes, we use the third party solutions. So I think we just want to provide a document.
Got it. And what about things like, for security purposes, possibly, um, can I get, the number of users logged into the instance, the number of failed attempts, unique IPs, things like that.
Yeah, I think for example the number of users we can get them to the database and expose them using the exporter and some the like a static IP we I think it's hard to expose the static IP because in the Hubble itself, inside the Hubble, we don't know the real IP address. I think
Okay.
exposed IP maybe is not the matrix thing, and I also think that exposed IP address is not the best practice in matrix because mm, you know the IP address will change a lot, and if the IP address is changed and the metric name actually is changed, so the graph will not continuous.
Got it.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, I think it would be helpful to look at to use it for error monitoring. So like push errors, pull errors, authentication, things like that. I don't know.
Yeah. I think some data is already in our database. We can using Sword to collect them. Yeah.
Okay, so for the when we deploy as hardware as an operator, do we deliver it with the Prometheus operator, or does the user have to go out to get it himself and then?
Yeah, I think if explore Hubble as operator, in the first solution, if you deploy Hubble as operator, is not there's not any impact. Oh, I think we need to add the exporter to Hubble operator. And the other things is the same. The service monitor will doing the metric collect, and we just deploy Hubble as before, and maybe we need to add some flags or to 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 enable the metrics to enable the Hubble metrics, and the service monitor will collect all the metric data. We just need to include the exporter in the operator.
Got it. Thank you. Yep. I haven't really thought about this too carefully in terms of what we want to collect, but I think telemetry, it can be split into several different layers, right? There's platform, or like node level information, like RAM, CPU, disk. Um,
Yeah,
there's
mhm. I think the
orchestration.
now. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I just I just want to say the open telemetry also although it's another platform, but it's compatible with the Prometheus, and I think the Prometheus is the only metric solution for in the kind of open telemetry, and so I think it also provides uh, something like we can uh, uh, deploy the sidecar open telemetry sidecar, which can I think it seems like changes the pull mode to push mode, so we don't need to care about the service discovery in the second solution if we introduce the open telemetry.
Got it. I thought Prometheus by default is pull mode. Um,
Mm.
isn't it just
Yeah, but if we
scraping the
don't
data
have
point?
yeah if there's no data collector actually is nothing impact like the solution one. We just expose the metrics and using service monitor, and using the collector. Another benefit of the using collector is in our standalone environment, we can use the collector to collect all the metrics of the Hubble components, or you need to expose a lot of APIs for each Hubble component. But if you're using the collector, it can collect all the metrics and expose using only one API. Like for example, can you?
So is the collector calling our current APIs?
Yeah, you can, as you can say, this is using the collector to collect. This port is for collector, and it included the Hubble core. Also, you can say the Hubble core information, and also have Hubble registry information, and they can combine them as one. The configuration, I think is very easy. It's just to collect the core, the registry, and the collector itself. In this configuration, is collect 3 components and expose them using AAA9 ports. I think it's very easy in standalone. We can generate the config for the users, and the user don't need to take care about it. And if the user enable the metrics, and we can configure all the things and collect all the components matrix data and expose them using collector.
Got it.
Okay. Any other questions?
Not for me. Thank you. It's very helpful.
Okay, thanks.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments? For this upcoming Prometheus work, or if not, for any other topic. You can talk about the recent release. You can talk about your experiences with Harvard. Any questions on the roadmap?
Okay, let me stop the sharing if there's no any question.
All right, thank you, Zhenxian. I think this is a super important work that we're doing to Prometheus integration. It's going to go a long way to make Harbor, more of an enterprise solution for the entire Kubernetes stack. The monitoring and metrics observability is huge, right? So I'm glad we're finally getting to it. I don't really have anything else planned for today. Does anyone else have any questions? Alrighty, if not, we can end early. Thanks everyone for attending. See you next week.
Thanks, Chen. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.